Hi, and welcome to another episode of Art Making from Comfortable Shoes Studio, and I'm Leslie, and today I'm going to be doing a little portrait using these new paint markers. I got these off Amazon. It's 12 color set. They are intended for children, but it's a good color selection, and I'm going to test them out and see how they are for sketching. I did do a swatch test, or swatching first look kind of thing. So I'll put that at the end of the episode. So this is the portrait I'm going to work from Earth's World over on Instagram. And yeah, all right. So let's get these. Let's test them out. I think I'm gonna start actually with a mid-tone on this. I know normally I start with my lightest and work my way up, but I'm going to start with something in the middle because I want to see how these layer. And so to do that, I'm going to start with this cool blue. These do have an agitator in them. And they do mix pretty quickly. All right. It's a good compact pen size, so that's always kind of nice. All right, let's get in here. Just kind of. So one of the things that I notice about the brush tip on this already is that it is not very springy. So that's not really a problem for me for this, at least right now. If these were like a regular brush, the lack of springiness would be a problem. I do prefer a springy brush tip compared to this kind of soft, fibery tip that doesn't spring back. So, yeah, I do prefer a bit more spring in my pen tips. I'm trying to get that hair in, trying to block some more of this in. Her ears aren't visible. Got some great cast shadows here. And bring that up. I'm trying to give some indication of that necklace there. All right. This woman's got big hair. It's like some big 80s hair. All right, so for the shadows, I think I'm going to go with a classic blue-green thing. I think it's a relatively bright blue. All right, so couple of notes. These are very opaque, so that's, in my mind, really good. I do prefer it when my paint markers are pretty opaque. I think when I'm working with an acrylic paint marker, that's something that I want. I want them to layer over each other in a way that allows me to obscure previous layers. Yeah, I'm liking these so far. So this blue is really quite bright. Kind of rework that lip there. And the shadow here. More, quite a bit of so we're gonna, oh, I like that dry brush. These colors are pretty bright. Try this teal shade. I think this is going to be visually significantly lighter than that blue. Yeah, okay. So here, because this is, they will overlay. I can get some of the shadow stuff in here. The fact that this is nice and opaque means that I can kind of highlight some of these, like pick out some of the shadow areas. That are a little visually lighter than the blue. I think with some of these, I'll be going back over this. So this might have to do with shaking and not shaking the pen well enough, but this color is not overlaying as well as the blue. And it could just be, you know, like here's a slightly different blend of pigment. All right, I'm going to start layering in some of the and purple is pretty visually similar to, in my opinion, the blue. It's a little lighter. So I'm going to start putting in some of this warmer shade for shadow. And I know right now, like, you're looking at this and you're like, Les, that's a mess. Um, this is a stage a lot of drawings and paintings go through as we're working. I think this is a stage where a lot of people get really disheartened with their artwork, is this sort of like ugly middle stage where um, the painting or the drawing just hasn't come together yet. And so you're not really sure how it's going to look. And this stage, this ugly middle stage, really makes you question if you're going to make it. Like, Emma, is this artwork going to end up looking good or bad? And right now, like, this looks pretty terrible, in my opinion. It's that ugly middle stage of like, here are all of my base layer. This is my base layer, my base marks, and eventually it's going to come together and look more like a face. Like at this point, I could go into this with my black ink and I could get something, a semblance of a portrait. I'm gonna keep going with the markers because that's what I'm doing right now. I'm testing these out. So I'm gonna start adding in my warmest shades. I know I usually, when I'm doing this, I'm often working in a sort of monotone palette where, I'm not using all of my warm and cool tones in the same image. And so this feels a little different. And then my usual work, if you're familiar with that. All right, so here's the thing. I'm noticing the yellow is definitely picking up some of the blue, green, gray. I'm pulling that in to the nib, and I'm not mad about that. I was expecting that, and it might be that some of my ink here is, or the paint is still wet. It might just be, that's how these work. Yeah, I think as much as the ink has a tendency to overlay really well, there is this sort of like transparency and pickup. It does pick up. Okay, the orange is nice. It's pretty opaque in sort of the same way that the yellow was. So the orange is doing the same thing that the yellow did, but I'm noticing there are spots where I'm kind of just overlaying the color and in areas where it's mostly dry. And actually, it's doing a great job in those sections. I'm going to come in with some white and add in some more highlights. And I'm going to, I don't know. Do I want to add more blue or shadow? I think I'm actually going to, after that, just come in with my kind of detail. And so the white's doing the same thing. If these areas were dry, I think, yep, there we go. That section's dry. So the sections where things aren't dry, it will blend. In the sections where things are wet, it does not blend. Where it does blend, sorry. It's hard to art and talk at the same time. So, yeah. All right. After a little camera snafu there, these things are a little bit more dry, and I'm gonna add in some more white for the highlights, and it is blending pretty well. And I think so. What I'm noticing with these markers is that visually, like if you squint your eyes and you look at these things, they are very similar in tone and value. Like, you got a little bit of difference between the yellow, the orange, and the red. The purple, blue, and teal are all sort of in the same tonal value. You know, they yeah, just there's not quite as much tonal value here that I would personally want, like, for a real sketching setup. That's just a reality of these, like, using a kid's setup in an art journal is that you won't always get the total tonal value that you might want for your art. And you can either work with that or you can go and buy some, professional supplies and get the proper tonal value that you are looking for. Like I wouldn't use these for any professional work. These would be fine for an art journal. They're fine for sketching, but these are obviously not a professional grade set of paint markers. I'm getting a great sort of like use out of them. I mean, they're great for sketching. Like, this is actually if I could buy this black pen solo and have it for sketching, I'd be pretty stoked. This is a pretty solid little fiber tip paint marker. The acrylic paint inside it is really quite nice, and it's responding quite well to sketching here. And I'm quite enjoying what I've got going on with it. Yeah, this is a fun little set for sure. Gonna use the brushiness of this tip to get these bangs in. And to give some detail to those glasses. Coming in and adding some detail in here too. Trying to find the hair. Shadow wrapping around there. All right. All right. All right, that's cool. This is, kind of a super graphic representation of this person. This person is from Earthworld. Kind of want to go in with the kind of don't. All right. Basically, I'm going in with the Uniball bold so that I can kind of see how this is going to write on top of the acrylic paint for this paint marker. And it's a pretty matte acrylic, so it's doing pretty well. This was a slightly thicker area, so it's actually did really well there. Adding in some more lines. On the mouth. And let's add in a little bit more highlight in that lip. Got some areas of highlight there. We got an area of highlight there. All right, so now that this is kind of dry, cleaning off the tip there a little bit to see if I can get a little bit more highlight action. And yep, get better highlight. Oh, it definitely picked up that gel pen. All right, pretty happy with that. Okay. Again, this is a image from Earthworld on Instagram. I'm trying out the Pomac acrylic ink or acrylic brush pen, and pretty happy with how they act for sketching. A little too tonally similar for really detailed sketching or just using them like this. The black, if like I said, if I could get the black acrylic ink on its own, that is a great sketching ink, or acrylic paint in a paint marker form. Yeah, a lot of is 12 colors. It's a simple option, but really nice if you're going for not realism. And let's take a look here at the two fleshy tones and what they look like over the top of some of these colors. Oh, that's very visually light. Fortunately, yeah, so it's gonna definitely pick up. So this is the really pale peach color, very, very pink. Let's look at the tan. And that's a lot darker. I think that would go. Yeah, there we go. In there. Visually, it's the same tone as the orange. Very similar in color to the orange when it's overlaid with that blue and purple. Yeah, not the world's greatest flesh tone options, but I think with the two of them you could get some kind of realism. Anyway, I like this set for sketching and doodling. The brush tips are pretty nice, not perfect for sure. They don't have quite enough spring back for my taste, but for sketching in an art journal, or if you're just looking to do some lettering in your art journal, these are going to go over the top of most of your paints and stuff that you put in your art journal because they are acrylic. And the flow is pretty good. So, yeah, there we go. That's the Pomac 12 color set. I think pretty good for art journaling. And just so you know, this image is from Earth's World on Instagram. I will link to this particular image so that you can find it. And with that, thanks and bye. Catch you next time.